This is a Helios Spotlight interview. I'm joined by Daniel Knott from Immersys, which currently has a crowdfunding campaign on the PROTON platform. We'll get to that a little bit later, Dan. But take us through a little bit, the introduction to Immersys. The homepage I noticed reads incentivized metaverse experience. So let's start there. What's the basic overview of Immersys?
Yeah, so a lot of what Immersys is we're a 3D virtual world where players are incentivized to participate in the ecosystem that we're creating. We believe that the value that we can provide a user is the services, the world, the time investment, the digital ownership of almost every single thing inside of our world to the player. So we value their time, and we believe that Immersys gives you a great play to earn GameFi experience. We have everything from a typical play to earn game in a 3D world where you're playing an MMO style game with other people online to more of your standard DeFi mechanics like staking, NFT staking, LP mining, things like that, also kind of filtered into the whole ecosystem. But we're not just focused on players. We also kind of have a whole different, additional service that we offer where, community members or brands can come into our metaverse and advertise, be discovered in a decentralized space through, property ownership that they can decorate with their own, branding and services and links and anything that they would want somebody who, everybody's fighting over attention. So anything that you would want people to find out about you while you have their attention, we offer those services inside of our game and our world, essentially.
How are you combining that brand marketing with the kind of the game experience of the metaverse and incentivization? Is that part of it? Are members being incentivized by engaging with brands, or how does that look to Immersys?
Yeah, so the way that we kind of do everything is it's kind of dynamically built based off of demand for it. So we do focus on bringing and driving in the player and the play to earn aspect. There are also the people that actually build almost every single thing that comes into the game that gets offered that benefits the businesses. So everything from the next retail, shop that gets created to the next advertisement, billboard, anything like that is actually created by the players. So basically they gather the resources, they find everything that they need, they create the NFT, that NFT then goes to sale. If there's demand for it, then obviously, they get their payday for that. And if there's not, then it's kind of just almost like, I like to think of them as kind of like options in a way, right? Like they're basically investing their time into the game, with the idea that, the value that they're spending inside the game and their time will actually be there's demand for the use case of the item that gets made, and then that's where the brand can come in and use that service. So it's kind of, it follows like you come in, play the game, you get the resources, you take those resources, craft something that you believe is a service that somebody else would want. And that's what we provide our players, is we create the services for them to create them to sell to other people, basically.
Gotcha. And I can see the potential network effect. If you do a good job and brands like what they can get through Immersys, then they will supposedly announce that they have features, experiences, NFTs, whatever, inside Immersys. And then that opens up to their audience, and you can be attracting massive brand audience into the space. I guess that's the idea, but is there more?
Correct. I mean, we could be all, like, I think a lot of metaverses take the approach of, we just sell you the land, right? Like, we don't sell you the land, we allow the players. I think who's going to win in this space, because it's so decentralized and so cutthroat, it's going to be who gives away the most and somehow is able to turn a profit, because you're going to see people all across the network basically undercutting each other forever and ever and ever, because that's what the name of the game is incentivized till you die, basically. So we're just kind of cutting out the first part where we're going to sell you a bunch of lands up front. We're going to allow the players to build that value, because it takes us no time to build the value into our virtual world, right? We can make the services and things like that. We just allow the players to earn that value. They're our salesmen, essentially, right? They come in, they play the game, they get to sell it, and that's and they're incentivized to do so.
Fantastic. That makes a lot of sense in terms of growth model. Tell me about I don't know what even to call it, the graphic quality, the fidelity of Immersys and what's happening in other metaverses. There's some that are very pixelated. There's some that are aiming for very kind of smooth, almost human-like. What's your approach, and how does a metaverse make those kind of decisions in general?
So I think you kind of, I think in a perfect world, you'd want a combination of both. I think you see the popularity of something like VR chat, where they're a little bit more, customizable as far as what the figure looks like or the avatar looks like. So being able to kind of be flexible on the avatar side of things, I think is kind of important. Being able to import, any kind of model or character in there. It just allows for that personal aspect to it. We definitely took a different approach than most games, where it's very voxel based, very easy to allow users to kind of make 3D objects out of voxels and blocks and import it in there. But I think there's I think there's trade-offs to both. There's nothing saying that we can't do that, right? Like that's the thing is we've just chosen more of the VR chat route, which is a very popular style of an avatar thing. You import these models in there, you be who you want to be, and run around as that type of a character. But at the same exact time, we can also offer a voxel-based builder inside the game that allows you to customize and place blocks. That's all they are. It's just blocks being placed. It's nothing extremely different. It's just we've chosen a more typical gamer style of a character, just because that's what people tend to gravitate towards. I mean, we definitely go a little bit more of a higher fidelity of a character. We're 3D. We use the HD rendering of Unity in order to create our game. But yeah, I mean, I don't see a huge trade-off between the two, because both can support the same thing. Essentially, it really depends on what you're offering the user as far as experiences.
How deeply is that graphic treatment tied into the core technology infrastructure? I really don't have a perspective, like clarity on that, but could like games themselves, the quality of games, I saw one, I think it was Sega Rally or something, and it showed the evolution from year to year to year over 20 years. And the originals were things like I can remember playing when I was a teen, and then now they're like almost real.
Yeah.
As real as like I can expect it. It's stunning. Is there an evolution that's going to take place with metaverse quality over the next handful of years? And how do you place your bets on the underlying infrastructure or the technology, or can you just swap things out as gaming technology evolves?
Yeah, I think technology will obviously continue to evolve. I think metaverse graphics and what people expect from it will evolve as well. I think you're going to see different approaches to it. I think there's a place for something like a voxel, like a crypto voxel or a sandbox, style game, because it does allow for creators to come in there and create their own assets, which you're basically crowdsourcing the assets creation process to your community, right? I think that's one approach to it. I think we take a different approach where we make everything in the game and allow the players to craft it, right? So like I think there's a little bit of a difference is we have a little bit more control over the asset creation process, but they're the ones that actually spend the time and create those items and then offer those services to people. I think that's where we're more focused on it, rather than just the make me a pixel hat that I can wear in a metaverse, right? Like what value is really added there in our mind? We don't see that as we think that's like the profile picture, phenomenon in a way, right? Like it's just like, what did you really create of value? What we're trying to do is build services for other people, offer those services up to be created by the players, and then they can offer them to people that hopefully would want to use those services. Like that's kind of how we package it.
Got you. Like a experience builder.
Yeah.
Metaverse is kind of how I'm thinking of it. And why Wax? I know you guys are built on Wax. What's the state of the Wax community as you see it, maybe in the midst of crypto winter as it's turned out to be? But what do you see the future based on your building on Wax?
Personally, any like EOS style blockchain is going to be perfect for building what we need to build. I think it's just functional in terms of being able to get things done. Like the thing is like we've dabbled in bringing in like the Ethereum NFTs and Solana and all these other, you know, proof of work chains, and it's just not great. Like you have to like limit what you can do. And I don't necessarily feel like there's a huge future for that style. Maybe once it transitions over to proof of stake, you know, you'll see a little bit more of it pick up, and maybe Ethereum can rally, you know, what's already established there and kind of make an impact. But as it stands, I just don't see how anybody can really build on that technology and make something that's like going to function properly from a business standpoint. Because when it comes to decentralization, I feel like there's just, you kind of need a little bit of control over it. EOSIO technology does give you a little bit more control over it to actually run a business. So if something does catastrophically go wrong, I think it's a lot easier to kind of cover your tracks, you know, take a step back and actually like recover a little bit more than, you know, some of these other chains where, you know, they'll just get destroyed, you know, if something does go wrong. I just think it caters to business a little bit better as far as creation. I see it lasting. I think there's a market there. I think they've done a good job of promoting the play to earn, the NFT space. Like I think they're considered, you know, pretty good contenders, and I see EOS, you know, playing the same role later on. I just don't think they approach the NFT market the same. I think they're definitely more, you know, with DeFi and things like that. But I think it goes back to what I always think is like, how are you going to get somebody to go download a wallet to invest in a token that nobody really cares about, right? Like the only way you get people interested if it's like they're you know, famous people telling you go do it, you know, that new album or music that you want to download coming to the chain, or a video games on that chain that you want to play. Like it has to be something entertainment wise that's going to bring them to that chain. I don't see it being just strictly, you know, go to the moon type stuff that gets you there. So I think that's the advantage that Wax has, is that it is almost approaching, you know, the mass adoption in an entertainment factor.
Very cool. So what are your next steps and challenges with Immersys? What's the key milestones that you're actually looking? What are the features you're working on? What are the lead times to bringing things to market?
Yeah, so I think the next thing, and this kind of does move into kind of the Pomelo thing, is what we see in not just our project, but like in the space in general when it comes to NFTs. NFTs are very hard to sell. They're not like a token where you could go in there, high liquidity, be able to sell it, get out of it. NFTs tend to be used and minted, you know, kind of generously in a way, right? And then that's not really what they're supposed to be. Non-fungible, they're supposed to be, you know, digitally unique, you know, single NFT, you know, one of ones essentially. Like that's sort of what it's supposed to be. But you know, Wax and EOS allows for these mint structures where like you can have 500 of a mint, right? But maybe 500 isn't the demand. So what we're working on bringing is this what we call is for our personal ecosystem, we call it fate burn, but it's essentially a burning of a non-fungible token for a fungible token. But the pools are created dynamically based off of oversupply. So if there's basically low demand for a non-fungible token or low liquidity, or just it's not interested, the pools will basically recognize that and dynamically award more of a token to incentivize the burning of that asset, to reduce the supply, to meet the market demand, basically. So you're basically issuing out you know, a token as a reward for you know, an oversupply, right? So it's a great way of kind of making sure that at some point, in theory, every NFT should only have one of them in existence, and you use a token to get there, basically.
Is that is that short-term delivery? I mean,
yes, yeah. Yep. I think we could possibly have it within the next like 2-3 weeks live as a tool that's available for anybody that would want to set up a pool to burn.
And how are you approaching publicity for the experience? Like what stage of engagement with community, with Metaverse players or users are you at the moment?
Yeah, right now, I mean, it fluctuates. We're going through, you know, a little, we've been going through a restructuring since the bear market kind of started, right? We were running at probably, you know, a little bit of a higher rate than we probably should have, without obviously, you know, expecting the bear market. So we've restructured, we've kind of cut a bunch of costs, and we've been kind of focusing on the things that we think are going to drive players in here. I think it goes back to that incentivization mechanic. That burn for a token mechanic is huge for our economy in our game, because right now, if you have, you know, massive amounts of NFTs, which is what we are rewarding players, you know, with, you know, and they cannot, and there's an oversupply, then you need something to deflate that oversupply, and that token mechanic is how we can incentivize players to continue to play as a different form of play to earn. So that's kind of where we're going, is we need to use that mechanic as the way to continue to incentivize players, right? Like, you could have probably started off with just the token issuing, but the thing is we need those NFTs, because the NFTs are our services. They're tokenized services. So like that you can't tokenize the token, right? You need to tokenize the actual non-fungible, you know, side of it that's redeemable and verifiable. Like, we can't verify the authenticity of a single token. So the way that we have it structured works. It's just, you know, when you know, when you don't have the ability to burn them out of circulation, then you get the inflation of an item basically coming in. And that'll be always how our economy works, because we are structuring our economy similar to like an MMO or a larger game, where technically every single item comes in infinite amounts. So you need to have, you know, that we treat the fate burn as like a shop mechanic in a game, right? So you go to the shop, and the shop's willing to trade, you know, 10 caps to sell your item in there, right? That's what we do, except we do it a little bit differently, where we don't set a base rate. We over incentivize the pool every single day, and give the shopkeeper the money to buy it if people aren't selling it.
At what point do you expect that you'll be approaching or attracting brands to start being able to make use of those economics that you're developing?
Yeah, I think we can get close to, I think we could do it as soon as we get the fate burn back in here, because the thing is we also need the token existing. Right now, there's not a way to earn the fate token outside of providing like liquidity, right? So like, there's not a way to earn our token inside of our like ecosystem right now. So it's sitting there on the sidelines, you know, kind of waiting for that second piece of the puzzle to kind of come into the play. You know, and that's really what's going to basically get the ball, you know, across the goal line in a way, right? Like that's where it all kind of comes together. Because right now we have, you know, the tools, like the advertising, the basically the ability to monetize a property inside the thing, advertise your brand in there, you know, link out, capture an audience. We have those tools already built into the thing. It's just we don't have a way to translate the NFTs into purchasing, you know, that stuff, because our token isn't in play. We could use wax, but that's not really our goal, and that's not how our tokenomics are designed.
So let's let's capture the project that you got on Pomelo. Is there something specific that your Pomelo pitch is aiming to develop, or is it like a general bunch of features that you're like?
Every time that we approach Pomelo, that we feel like we're creating a tool that can be used by anybody outside of just our service. That's kind of how we approach Pomelo. If we see a service that we know will benefit us, but also can benefit other people, the basically end burn NFT, receive fungible token based off a dynamically you know, incentivized pool that favors oversupply. So, you know, higher mints, less liquidity in that market, other, you know, factors play into it. Then it'll over incentivize it, so it burns it out. So that's the mechanic that we feel like other collections could absolutely use, because you see their collections just get over minted. They can't get it out of circulation. They can't come up with the use cases for it. So what they can do is, if they have a token, incentivize the burning of their assets to get their economy back under control.
Got you. So that feature, that functionality, which to me sounds incredibly unique and valuable, you're actually going to make that available as a open source, as a publicly available component?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Fantastic. It would just be basically its own service that you can use. It would still be, you know, it'll be offered under Immersys' thing, but it would be, you know, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to be able to attract developers, I guess, as well, for people interested in building, and then they'll want to build inside the Immersys metaverse experience itself.
Yep.
Fantastic. Anything that we haven't covered, maybe to wrap up here? Pomelo, for those that don't know, is POMELO.io. It's a crowdfunding platform for public goods. Was the original focus. Just as Dan's explaining that these components can be used in different platforms by different developers. So it's pomelo.io. The campaign is running for how much longer? It's another few weeks, I think.
Yeah, I believe you have another
15 days here.
15, yep.
And how do they, so if they go there, they just type in Immersys in the search box, I guess they're going to find the campaign description.
Yep.
Easy enough.
Yep.
Anything else that we haven't?
Go over thing. No, just want to say thank you to everybody that's already contributed to it. I know a bunch of people have already contributed. And yeah, if you're interested or you feel like that service could be of value, definitely consider contributing.
And Immersys is IMMERSYS.io. We will put the links in description or put them up on screen, something like that. Definitely everyone go and get involved. Play now the Immersys experience, and looking forward to seeing all of the new developments, Dan. It's been a while since we had a previous chat. Good to get an update and understand your focus on new features. Excited for the Pomelo, for that functionality. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.